You're getting old. Until I get the paper and everything, and then contact it.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
Yeah, wait.
Rabbi Isai, Hilchos Shavuos. We're holding Simin Tov Tzadik Dalid. Tov Tzadik Dalid, If Gimel. So last week, to recap, we spoke about how Chag HaShavuos,
Daf Mem Zayin.
Chag HaShavuos has no date on the calendar. No date on the Loach. Torah says Tisvaru Chamishim Yoim. This is connected to 50 days from Shavuos. We also spoke that the Chachamim call it Atzeres, in the Lashon Chachamim, the Mishnayot, in the Gemara, it's called Atzeres. Explained about Ditchever, explained why is it called Atzeres, because Shavuos doesn't have any mitzvahs miyuchades of its own. All there is Atzeres. We refrain from doing malacha. Atzeres Lashon, stop from doing malacha. So therefore, Shavuos had that name of Atzeres. We also spoke that Matan Torah is connected. The day historically of Matan Torah was Vav Nisan, Vav Sivan. Matan Torah was a day on the calendar. It was Vav Sivan. And today, they coincide, Shavuos and Vav Sivan. So if we say Zman Matan Torah Seinu in the Shavuos Shemona Esrei, because it's actually the day of Matan Torah. However, in the time when the Mekadosh Apiriyah, it didn't have to be Dafka on that day. It would have been Hey, Vav, or Zayin. And then they wouldn't say Zman Matan Torah Seinu because it's not that day. Another halacha we learned in Sif Beis was that even though the Minik Ashkenaz was that Erev Yom Tiv and Erev Shabbos, we always daven Ma'ariv early and take in Yom Tiv early. Night of Shavuos, we don't do that. We daven after Tzeis Kichavim because we should have Sheva Shabbos Temimis Tiyana, complete, and it won't be complete if we take off part of the 49th day. Now we're holding Sif Gimel. Neigin Harper Lis Odom Kol Laila Torah. Many have the custom to be up a whole night learning Torah. Mikol Mokim who will tefillah to mikveh night Yishamash Mitase. He shouldn't. Meikar Eisik Yebish Torah Shal Peh. Ikar Eisik if you're learning Torah Shal Peh. And in the morning, you don't make a bracha al ntilas yadayim.
If he's up the whole night.
Yeah. Shalavarech al talis cotton. Shalavish will not make a bracha on a talis cotton, which you're wearing that night. Whether or not you should make the bracha on Berchot Torah will be explained in Simon Mem Zayin. Now, Siv Dalet. In the first day of Shavuos, after we finish Halal, say the whole Halal, Mitzvah Beis Sefer Torah. According to Sefer Torah, Aleph, Chamisha, Gabri, 5 people we call it from Aliyah. B'Pashis Yisrei, B'Chedesh Shishi, L'Tzeis, Asayif HaSedra, Shemyana Sheyim, Shebein Matan Torah. We read Pashis Yisrei from B'Chedesh Shlishi till the ending of Pashis Yisrei, because that's in the Yana Sheyim, Matan Torah. After Koida B'Sefer Torah, Beis, B'Pashis Pinchas, and the second Sefer Torah, Pashis Pinchas, where it says Abiyem Habikurim, which is the time of Shavuos. O Maftir ben Navi b'Merkava Yecheskel. Al Shem Shenigla Kadosh Baruch Hu b'Sinai b'Ribei Ribbeis Alfei Shnon. So we Maftir about the Merkava Yecheskel. Just like there was a great revelation in Matan Torah. We read in the Haftarah that what Yecheskel's vision that he saw. It's not written right in that spot. Now you can mix this mekoimish a gadol chacham created this haftarah. Some places the meaning that a gadol and a chacham reads this haftarah. The smach medaber v'loy b'mal ma'asim mekabel kim elam kin hoye chacham maybe medaiti. The Mishnah Chagiga says that a person should not be doidish, expound in the ma'asim merkava about the vision of Yecheskel, the ma'asim merkava that he saw, unless he was a chacham or maybe medaiti. Then you can be doidish to him
Very
ma'asim
complicated.
merkava.
You try
So,
to learn it.
so over here, the Haftarah, it's a remez that the Haftarah should only be read by someone who's a Chacham and maybe Medaita.
But you give the aliyah from Sos Divos the river, which is Levi.
Alright, so we don't, it's not a minig that way.
What?
We give that the Asarat HaDibis to the Rav.
So who's getting the master?
You know?
Whoever pay more?
Next question for you.
No, whoever pay more, we're selling it.
Usually you're the.
It could be we don't have this minig. Minig is for the Rav to get the Asarat HaDibis.
Right. So
So
why
we
not
don't.
master? We'll get master.
After like every Shab, every Yom Tov.
No, we
Wherever they give it to.
Especially.
No, the Rav gets Levi. Even
So you get Asarat HaDibis.
okay. That is it.
I don't know if always was always in Minik Chabad they gave the Rav the Asarat HaDibris, but I think that the Rav, maybe the Rebbe wanted that since there was such a Minik to be mechazek the Rabbanim, but the Rebbe wanted that Chabad should adopt the Minik. I'm not sure. You have to know if that was the original Minik. I don't know. Stama they rotate between the various Rabbanim.
Why? Tell me why a chutzlar is that we have 2 days, but because this is the only yom that's vadai. We've counted 49 days, and now came Matan Torah, the 50th day. So it's 100%. So why do we have to have 2 days?
Right.
Yeah, very good kasha. Excellent question. Do you have an answer?
No, I'm asking you. I wish I had.
Chachamim says if you're going to make one Yom Tov one day, people are not going to know the difference. So instead, all Yom Tov will be 2 days. So this way, not going to be mistakes.
You have your answer. The Rambam writes that Shavuos, that we do Yonta Sheni Shagalias and Shavuos Kedei Shalachlik B'Moedis, not to differentiate in all the other Yom Tovim are 2. So we're going to have one which is only, Shavuos is going to be only 1. So it's interesting, the Chassam Sofer says, based on that Rambam, a very interesting Chassam Sofer. Chassam Sofer says that Adarabah Shavuos is a stronger Yom Tov Sheni than all the other Yom Tov Shenis. All the other Yom Tov Shenis is Mikoyach Safik. We keep it.
Second day, it's called.
Sveika Diyoma.
Shavuos
Shavuos is there was never any Safik. It's a Vadai that you have to keep it. The Vadai. So it's a stronger. This whole episode.
The suffix is which day is the Yotzat from the David HaMelech and Baal Shem Tov, the first day or the second day?
What was the whole background to this Shuvah of some Sefer? A very interesting background. I think maybe we've mentioned in the past. There was in the city of Rav Shlomo Kluger, the big Goinim, Mashak. Rav Shlomo Kluger was a Rav in Brody, and in there was a story where there was someone who a person, he never had children, and on Shavuos he became a goisis on the second day Shavuos, and he felt like he's going to be nifter. And Lamaisa, his wife, if he would be nifter, his wife would need chalitza because they had no children. He didn't want his wife to have to go through chalitza because his brother lived in Rome. To get from Rome to Poland, this is not going to really happen. She's going to get there, he's going to come here. This is going to be extremely, extremely difficult, the months of travel. So, Lamaisa, the Shiloh was by Shlomo Kluger, should he allow him to have a get be written for him on Shavuos, write a get, and this way, his wife will be free from chalitza. So Hayoisa was Yom Tov Sheni Shagolius. It's Issa D'Rabbanan, and writing, and so maybe you can be matter writing the get. So this is the shayla that came into Shlomo Kluger, and he, the poil, asked that you're not allowed. But there was another, and all the Rabbanim in the city, the Talmid Chacham agreed with him. But there was one big Talmid Chacham, was the Einakol of the Neid B'Yehuda, Belazar Landau, and he did not agree. He held very strongly that it was permitted to have the get written on Shavuos. Such a case, Igun, she's not going to be able to get married again, who knows what's going to be. He held you're allowed. Such a shatzat back. The Shlomo Kluger, Lamaisa, he was nifter. And, she needs chalitza. And Shlomo Kluger's heart bothered him. Maybe he felt he was right, but maybe he was wrong. Look what he did. He wrote to the Chassam Sofer, asking what does he feel. So it's a tshuva Chassam Sofer. Sofer wrote back, writes in the beginning of the story. He doesn't write. He writes that everyone agreed. Zulas besides v'chulo etc. He doesn't write the name. But we know the name because Belazar Landau himself wrote a sefer where he explained why he held differently. In this sefer, he published also why he held differently with Shlomo Kluger. So he was Megala himself. But the sefer B'Shaitei, when this tshuva came, was right when the Maisa had just happened. He covered his name up, and the Chassam Sofer wrote back that he was right of Shlomo Kluger. You can't be mattered. And he goes into Pilpul discussing the Isser Ksiva of writing on Yom Tif and making a get, and he adds in, especially according to what the Rambam writes, that Shavuos is Kedei Shetach V'Moedes. That's what Yom Sheni. Yom Sheni is a vada. It's not a suffix. You can't say it's a suffix over here, so you can add. It's not lav dafka Yom Tif. It's a vada Yom Tif. So like this, makes it much harder to be matter on the second day Shavuos to write a get, because we're talking about a yid. A yid has to write it. A yid has to mechala Yom Tif. Right? Right? So the Poyel Chassam Sofer was machazak of Shlomo Kluger and what he did. Rabbi Zevin, in one of his svarim, I think in Me'adim B'Halacha, he explains the whole background, the whole story, to the background. This is a famous tshuva Chassam Sofer. The Rebbe quoted it once to bring out this idea that the Yom Tov Sheni Shel Galius of Shavuos is much stronger than other Yom Tov Sheni. There's a big milah to it. By Shakaya for bringing it up. Now,
Davis, isn't it there?
Sif Dalid. Sif Zayin, actually. Vav, I'm sorry. Yesh noegin la'oimra ma'umid. Right. V'loya maftu avad shuhu tzarech lamid l'chetchila b'chol haftoira toiris b'kavod tzibur. The maftir has to anyway stand because kavod tzibur, reading something for the community, show respect for the community, stand up. Al af kol mi shekoris b'lach Hashem maftir koydim u'um pnei kvoida. Everyone else who reads it quietly with the maftir reads it standing. I don't think that's the minig. Al not the minig Chabad. I do not see that the whole Elam stands up for this haftoira.
Sfaradim also don't stand.
They don't stand. B'shas, the hearing the haftoira, I don't see. You've seen that they stand? I haven't seen. I don't think the Olam has this meaning. It says yesh noigin. Not everyone's noig. There's no seats, so you have to stand. It reminded the story of the Briskarav, that the Briskarav said before Chanukah licht. He said they should take out the broom out of the room for Chanukah licht, because then they'll say that there's a minute to have a broom in the room next to Chanukah licht. So that happens the next year for Chanukah licht. They put the broom in the room before Chanukah licht, and then they take it out, because in Bris the minhag is that you take out the broom for Chanukah licht. I'm saying from the Bachrim, you can't, they're standing, they don't have.
It's like the story the Rebbe once said about when the Rebbe was sick, or he had a cold, and like 2 consecutive Shabbos, and he didn't take the sermon by Havdalah. Now, with some people running around Crown Heights thinking there was a 9-minute.
That's what he said?
Yeah.
He remembers this?
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, why is you can't smell.
Right,
You call it
right. You
what?
can't make the
There's
bracha.
no place they say the rubber thumb.
Rabbi, going back to the Hanukkah lighting, if I light candles in my living room and the broom is in the kitchen, do I have to take the brooms out of the house?
It's a joke. It's a
This is
joke.
a shaila for a rav.
Okay.
I'll take you
Hey,
seriously.
I also have some time. It's not till Isla, we just started Sivan.
B'chlal, it says it's better to read quietly with the maftir for yourself, if you could, to read with the Balaf Torah. Otherwise, listen in Shas Maisa. Chassidim do read the Haftarah quietly. However, the minig was that when the Admor would read the Haftarah, in Chabad, the Rebbes would get that maftir. They wouldn't get other aliyahs. Even the other aliyahs are really considered more chashuv. Shlishi, Shishi, they would dafke get maftir. It started with the Mittel Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe's son, that he was embarrassed from the Torah. So he dafke took maftir, which is considered the most, after you read the whole Kriya. So he had as a busha from the Torah. So all the Chabad Rebbes take maftir. Gonna get an aliyah and take the smallest aliyah. He had a bush also even when he would read the maftir, he would be very shamadik from the haftarah. So maftir became very chashav aliyah in Chabad. So when the Rebbe would read, the Olam would not read with the Rebbe. Whenever the Admor reads, not only by the Rebbe, but even by the Fidik Rebbes, when the Admor read, they listen. You're yaitze from the Admor, you listen from the Rebbe. But if the Admor is not reading, then you read. Regarding minhagim, when you look at something and saying minhagim, so there's once that the Rebbe, for some reason, the Meshamish, he prepared for him in Shabbos Lechem Mishnah, put on the table, covered. For some reason, the Rebbe didn't use the Lechem Mishnah. And it stayed there. Came Matzah Shabbos. He sat down from Malav Malka. It was a new Shamish that came to Meshamish. And he sees Malav Malka, the Rebbe wanted to wash. So he takes off the challah cover and he makes a maitzi. So he tells everyone, the Rebbe takes Lechem Mishnah from Malav Malka. So you have to know what you're seeing. When you see something, like Paris is saying,
That's why they go.
you don't know, but by the Chassidim, you got to be careful with the Chassidim. They're always looking at the Rebbe. It's like a new minig. So
Minag hofech ledin.
no, so you don't mean. I glad to think that Arizal says that there is an Inyan from the whole Inyan is from the man, Seicha to the man. Matzah Shabbos, already Shabbos is over.
No one.
But I think the Grade brings it from the Arizal would have Lechem Mishnah for
Really?
huh? Yeah, that's what I saw.
2 slices of pizza.
That's what I saw once.
I will lipstick to drink something hot.
Siv Zion.
By the way,
We do it.
by speaking about the Malav
Tea
Malka,
hot.
Rabbi Meraza recommended for me, not everybody here, but for me especially, to have hot bread for the Malav Malka.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a Hayr all
For me, he recommended for me.
He did?
Yeah, I do it every week.
Sif Zion. Maybe it's a minig he saw by his father, Zayda. They had various minhagim in Russia, different ways how they eat. I think they used to eat potatoes, potatoes, matzah Shabbos.
So there's nothing else to eat, the potato.
Yeah.
That's how the minig became.
It's not the minag, it's a must. We have nothing to eat.
Says Zion, Anoigin l'shoyra agdamis, achesh akaru b'toyra pasuk nishin. Those that have the minig to sing agdamis after reading the first pasuk of the Torah, afa pishim afsikim be'emsa hakriya b'davar she'ein tzorech hakriya ein limches b'yadam ki yesh shemiyashvin min hogam. There are those that explain their minig. Even though they're middle of kriya and they're singing akdamis. Minig, you come to a place, there's no minig yet, a new place. Yois Atoy v'Shoira Agdamis Koidim Shiascha Koyin Levarech Lifnei Kriyas HaTorah. V'chein Yatze Pisgam, also which is said on the second day of Shavuos, which is not the meaning of Chabad to say it. Yois Atoy v'Loimer Koidim Shiascha Mafti Levarech Lifnei HaTorah. Say it before the mafter begins the haftarah, not after the mafter starts the haftarah. V'chein nagu achsha b'harbi mekoyim. That's the meaning in many places. L'mais in Chabad, although Akdamis is published in the Siddur, the Chassidim don't have a minute to sing Akdamis, but the Admor himself, the Rebbes themselves, would quietly say for themselves the Akdamis. I think there were some Chassidim that also followed suit and said Akdamis quietly.
Really. Like almost every chorus is like how big is the Eberstein, big in the Eberstein.
Oh, it's great stuff.
Like almost like a shir, but very big.
Now, I want to just skip a few sifim and talk about how the Kriya, about the Trup, the Tam Elyon. We read a little bit differently. The Aseres Dibis. If you notice, when Aseres Dibis are read in the Torah, we don't read them exactly the way they are in the pasuk, printed in the Chumash. When you're going to turn to the back of the Chumash where they publish, so the Aseres Dibis is published a Tam Elyon. It's a little bit different Trup, and some of the words are dropped different nekudes, like Panai, Panoi. You'll see there's some differences. If you're reading from the Chumash in Parshas Yisrei, you'll see it's a little bit different than what you're reading from where it's published in the back of the Chumash. A little bit different Shrub. That's when we read the Torah, we read it in a different Shrub. I just want to skip the Sif Yud Beis. Yontiv Sheni Koydin Chamisha Gabri also call up 5 people. The Pash is called Abachor, but after Koyde B'Torah B'Yom V'Kodim Kavish, just like the first day. When after Navi Tefillah Chavakuk Ad Lamatzech V'Noisoi, V'Yesh Mekoymes Shemaschilim in Havaya B'Heichel Hashem B'Heichel Kodshe, and that's also the minig Chabad. Now, no Yigelik is Megillas Rus B'Shavuos. The minig is to read Megillas Rus on Shavuos. Shavuos Man Matan Torah K'dei Lo Meish Nita Torah Dei Surim V'Oini. Torah was only acquired through Yisurim, suffering, v'oini, and poverty. K'moisha hoyel Rus. So this guy, Rus, did not have anything when she converted. Someone has everything; they're not necessarily going to look for something else. Ve'em evarchem klum al kriyas Megillazu. Bar and Simon Tov Tzad talks about reading the various Megillas of Rus, Kehelis, that we don't make a brach on it. Lamaisa, it's not the meaning of all Kehilas to read it. Chabad does not read the Kriyas.
I don't read Chabad?
No. But it's published.
And the Tikkun Shavuos has the Megillah.
Right. Right. In Tikkun Shavuos it's published, but it's not read by Rabbim, by the Bima like many Kehilas do. It's read quietly to oneself. We read the whole Megillah Srus, part of the Tikkun Shavuos. Although all the other parts of the Tanakh, we read only bits and pieces of it, but Megillah Rus we read in its entirety because it's connected to Gerus. The Rus was a real Gerus. How she said that she left everything. She was a daughter of a Moav, Melech Moav, and she could have had everything there, and she left everything and said, "My nation is your nation. I will live where you will live. I will sleep where you will sleep. And I'll be buried where you be buried." That's a real ger. That's a ger tzedek. The Rebbe, when he talked years ago about the whole the choik in Eretz Yisrael, Miu Yehudi, to the who could come back to Eretz Yisrael and be considered a yid. So the Rebbe wanted very much it should say the words that only someone who's born to Jewish mother or someone who converts kehalacha. And the Rebbe spoke over how people want to make a sham out of Gerus, and the Rebbe brought up the story of Rus. Look what Rus said to be a Giyodis. She wasn't just a paper filling paperwork to become called a Jew. are going through a course. Rus felt that this is her destiny, is with this nation. This is her, she's a,
We learn with Rabbi Morozo that before Matan Torah, the 600,000 Jews, they all were Midgaya. So maybe that's,
everyone came from Gadim.
yeah.
David
That great,
HaMelech come from Gedi.
So
Melech
Rus
HaMashiach come from
Rus is his great grandmother.
and they went to the mikveh also, the Rosh Miriam.
Right? Yeah. But it's very emotional, the whole story of Rus. You see what she says, and she doesn't want to leave her brother-in-law.
So let's talk a lot about what's the lotion, Basher Tekfi Alech, Basher Amati Damot, Basher Tochlet Voli, like what's all this, each one is a very deep sphere.
It's the whole life,
Exactly.
the whole concept of life in this passage that she said.
Sif Yudalad, V'noigin l'shtoyach hasav beis hakneses v'vabatim. The minig is that people spread around grass and shul in the houses, b'shavuos eichel l'simchas matan Torah. Ba'api yonte atzmai mutal l'shoitchon afilu im einer ru'uyin l'maychol, ve'imam isur muksa, kigivan shechoshev aleihem merev yonte l'shoit miyontif. Since you already prepared it before yontif that you planned on putting it out, it's not muksa, just like your flowers on your table on Shabbos, they're not muksa on Shabbos. You're allowed to move the vase around. It's not muksa.
You have to say the flower inspired him by shoes, beautiful, two bouquets by the Bima.
The only one who do no flowers Chabad.
In the
We're the only
shul.
one.
The shul.
Why?
Some don't do it.
The Mefaer, the Knesset. I think it's
No,
beautiful.
it's the whole concept is the Eresh make a miracle by Har Sinai that the mountain became with flowers, right? So, Zecher with the flower. It's a desert. There was no flowers in the desert.
Yeah.
The
And
desert
most
was-
kehillas have flowers.
Most creative, right?
Yeah.
Not only that, they put flower by the
On Kodesh.
Sefer Aaron Kodesh, by the Bima, and all around this they put beautiful grass, but all different things, beautiful. There's so much money. You go in, you say, beautiful.
However, the other shuls and the other nusafim don't have the extensive ice cream party that Abad has to draw people in.
So it's only for kids.
It's only for kids, yeah.
It's only for kids.
Only for kids.
Noyegin l'shtoyach asabim beis hakneses. I'm sorry, read it. V'mekol mokim v'chal shuas achar Shabbos. If Shabbos is first, and then it's Shabbos, Sunday, Monday, shuas. La yishtechem b'Shabbos. Af shemutal taltalam. If it's not muksim, v'kol m'shchait m'Shabbos tzorich yom. Today the kemoi meichin m'Shabbos yontif, or also lahachin kol m'Shabbos yontif. Filu davar shem mishum b'sarach malacha. You're not allowed to prepare anything, to even to bring a bottle of wine up from the cellar for the next day, or to mish the Sefer Torah to prepare it to the next day. You can't do. If there's no malacha, you're allowed to do hachana. Noyegen lahamed ilonis bebeis hakneses button. Kedei lahaskir shabbat seres nidoinin al pedas ilon. Yispalu alehem. Every Yom Tov were judged for something else, like Sukkot were judged for the water. So on Shavuos, we're judged for Pedas Ha'ilon, fruits of the tree. I guess that's it's also time for Bikurim.
Nobody keeps this one.
So they put trees in the shul,
Yeah, kids.
and we should daven for them.
That's like Shavuos is known as Chag Kitzir.
All right?
Right.
You cut the wheat, yeah?
Yeah. So it's the time to bring the Bikurim.
Tazayin, noyegim b'chol hamakoymis. This is a minig everywhere. Noyegim b'chol hamakoymis. Lechol machol leichala b'yom aleph shel Shavuos.
Linset, cheesecake.
A minig aviseinu taidahi. This is a minig aviseinu, it's taida. Ki harbe taimim nemo alav. There's many reasons for this, said on this. Some people have a different word over here. They say harbe taimim nemo. Harbe taimim nemo. There's a lot of taste said on these milchigs. A lot of taste. Veloshin taimim. Well, lefi shemitzvah lechol basar b'chol yom tiv. Every Yom Tov we also have a mitzvah to eat basar. So you're not going to not eat basar. You have to eat basar and milchigs. You have to be careful. You have to eat separately and the time waiting and everything. And it should be kedas v'chadin when we're eating milchigs on Shavuos.
My son-in-law was the head Batsala in Jersey, so we used to go there for Shavuot. So in the middle of the day, like the day before Shavuot, he bought, maybe they gave him money, cheesecake, big one, and he gave all the member of Batsala. I went with him with the kebab. There's the address,
Very
it's
nice.
all the big one, like $75 a piece.
Shit.
My medical doctor is Chabad, Dr. Jerome Ubra, and he told me in Chabad, some people are accustomed to make dairy challah. Is that true? I don't know. All right.
Maybe some do. I don't know. I think that years ago they weren't so into the milchig. It's more like to be yaitza.
That's a big business.
No, you make it, then you wait to have.
Right, yeah. But there was more to be yaitza. They would have a little bit of cheese, that mean milchigs, make kiddush on it, and then they go to the ikr was the fleishigs. But today, nafeichu, that the oilam got so into so mahadar in the minig, that the oilam is so into the milchigs meal, they don't have any room for the fleishig meal. So really, it's supposed to be the opposite. Really, it's supposed to have some milchigs, and then to wait, if whatever your minig is, you wait a half hour, and then you're supposed to have the fleishig meal,
One more.
which is a mitzvah to eat basar on Yom Tov.
It's 5 years ago now.
You don't have to do it after an hour later. You can wait 2 hours. And you don't. But important to remember, you don't have to wait between the benching time. Those people wait an hour. The Chabad people wait an hour. You don't have to wait an hour in between the benching time. When you finished eating your last bite of cheesecake, till your first bite of fleishigs is an hour. So you could bench after your cheesecake, and you could right away go and wash and have your fleishig and start having fish and salads, and you sing Nagunim and Zmiris and Vataidas, and then by the time you come to the fleishigs, it's an hour. So it really doesn't have to be much time, because by the time you clean up the milchigs and you're setting up the fleishig meal, set up the whole table and you start the meal, it's not really you have to wait too much time. Just a few minutes, and you can go straight to the fleishigs.
I was 5 years ago now to Israel. Did a Francis hotel from my father. So before Shavuos, I stayed Shavuos not to Israel, so I went to a hotel called Lavi, Kibbutz Lavi. They make all the furniture for sure, the chairs, very, very big, all over the wall. So the milchik over there is the hotel, right? It's table from here, you don't see the hand, only cheese. I said to my wife, even if I want to taste, just taste from every cheese. I'll be full. There's no way I could eat so much cheese. And then you have all the yogurt from, not only from Israel, like, we Baruch Hashem, eat only Cholak Israel. She go, what you do with milchik? I never saw in my life something like that. The Arab walking over there, so what are I said to him, I never saw in my life something like this. Cheese like this, like this plate is different from all over, from Switzerland, from this. I should go and why you, but this is the
Mahada and the minig.
The mina mad.
Ladies like it because it's something different.
Right. Yeah, we can't forget. We have to remind them or prepare that there should be fleishigs later on. Later on the day, have fleishigs. Maybe a few hours if it's a big mochik meal. Wait a few hours and then. You can't always fight City Hall. Can't fight City Hall. It's not kedai.
Israel בכלל, no, breakfast in a hotel is like, but this is like whoa, 5-star.
When you'll eat later in the afternoon, you'll be hungry again. You'll eat fleishigs.
Yeah, you
wash for fleishigs. Now, here the Alter Rebbe discusses a little bit about how to kasher the oven. The ovens those days, to kasher it between milchigs and fleishigs.
Which halacha?
So, the ending of Tazayin.
Oh.
In those ovens, those days, how would they kasher it between milchigs and fleishigs?
Today, everybody has in the house like a special milchik toast and all.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not as coming less and less common, the concept of kashering.
You also put on salt. That's very easy to imagine.
If you don't do milchik in the oven, they want to use fleshik. It's fleshik and that's it. You do fish or that, but no, you never see somebody.
People have today 3 sinks, three ovens.
No, but let's say somebody want to make a cheesecake, they make it in the toaster oven, not in the.
Right. Yeah, you can make it in the toaster oven, yeah.
90% of people buy. People don't make it.
There's so many kind cheesecake.
That's why I would pomegranate shelf only cheese.
There's a Lamaisa Lagabi the time. There's a lot of time in, like the Alter Rebbe says, he doesn't bring down the reasons, but Kodim called that Ramah brings that what's the reason for having the milchig? Because since you're not allowed to have the same bread that you ate by a fleishig meal and a milchig meal, the same bread, you have to have different bread, different challah. So when you have 2 meals, milchig and fleishig, you have to have a different challah. So you have a challah for each. So you're going to have a zeicher to the shtei halechem, the carbon shtei halechem that was brought in Shavuos in the Beis Hamikdash, shtei halechem. Others bring down that it's a remes to Torah. Torah is compared to cholav, advash, tachas, l'shoinech. Torah is compared to cholav.
Also, Chetlam base of 40. How many days Moshe Rabbeinu was in Mount Sinai?
The Mishabruda brings down, I think, he says that he heard that he brings from a sefer that the first year, Matan Torah was on Shabbos. The first year Matan Torah was on Shabbos. And they were told then all the halachas that now they have to keep
They didn't have any
kashas. But nothing is kasha now, so you have to prepare. Fleishigs you have to prepare. You have to shech, then you have to have proper kalim. So they had to eat milchigs for a few days. They had to eat milchigs the first Matan Torah. This was the inyan of the milchigs. The Rebbe has a whole discussion in a sikha if that Shabbos of Matan Torah was an actual Shabbos or not, because Matan Torah occurred in the morning. It was in the morning. Hashem woke up the Yid in the morning. So the night before wasn't Shabbos.
Friday night it wasn't Shabbos.
Friday night wasn't Shabbos.
Didn't get a Torah yet.
Right? And even though
The
Shabbos
Mara.
was given a Mara, but the Torah was given, the Shabbos is a whole different level. But that Sinai Shabbos only started from the morning. So did that Shabbos have the status of a regular Shabbos, or the Shabbos only chal when you can have a 24-hour Shabbos? Could Shabbos be chal on a mechza or not?
Why was it on Friday night Shabbos?
We didn't get a Torah, only in the morning.
But by Murrah they got Shabbos.
So I think he says over there, but the Mara Shabbos and Mara wasn't the same. As soon as Nitna Torah,
Right.
once Nitna Torah is Chat Shalach, everything was before is removed,
Right.
and
Oh,
now we have the Torah of Sinai. But the Torah of Sinai couldn't yet be Chal.
Right.
So in Echanami, Friday night they had Shabbos, but the Shiloh of Shabbos day they had to keep that Shabbos because it was a Chal on a half a Shabbos day. There's a whole medrash in the Mechilta. There's a whole discussion about whether it could be Chal on half a Shabbos.
When is that at Sivan?
New Year Maladas.
It's a good day.
I'm all right.
All right.
We're bringing it over.
Huh?
You make it for bringing it.
I make for Bergen every night. Why? Only for the birthday?
Mark and salmon.
Oh.
Right. Let's go to Sipyud Zayin. Let's look a little bit another halacha. We go to Ma'ariv and Mechalik Isib Samam B'Sibur Beis HaKnesset Yidor Shel Chalak and Baruch Shama Lach Shmonasrei. Person who distributes B'Samam take brachas on should not do it between Baruch Shama and Shmanaseh. Shekoyim Baruch Shama la'achar Shmanaseh yichoyim lahein levarech al reich hamegil lahem. Baruch Shama la'achar Shmanaseh also lahas b'diber. What's going to happen? Yehana me'areich b'lei bracha. He's going to have hana without a bracha. Shavil ben perek leperek shemut lahafsek afil b'shvei koyd v'as v'adam. After it became also lahafsek levarech al reich shebrach zin chayv klal shein tzarech levarech al reich shem skaven reich. V'areich megil le'me'elo v'ein v'skaven el asher b'karch en enem einim mevarech alav. Safety simulation Zion. The Alter Rebbe asks like this a question. L'chora, why can't you be mafsik in middle after Baruch Shamar for the Birchas Hareich? You're allowed to be mafsik to say someone says hello to you. Shalom Aleichem. You're allowed to say Aleichem Hashalom, right? There's all these dinim of shoyel, pnei hayirem, pnei hakavod. So if someone chashiv is asking you, so the shaila is why for Birchas Hareich a bracha you can't be mafsik. It explains the chiluk. Birchas Hareich it's not a chiyuv at all because you have no chiyuv to make a bracha on the psamim unless you have kavana to smell. You don't have kavana to smell, even though you smell it. If you're walking by a flower store or something, you walk into a flower store, you don't have kavana to smell. You're walking somewhere, you don't have to make a brach on it.
No, but you know it's a flower.
Even though you have hana, but I had no kavanah to smell it. I'm just walking and the smell comes to me. Therefore, since you're in a spot you're not allowed to be mafsik, Team Baruch Shabbat and Shemon Esrei, don't have kavanah to make a reach, and you won't have to. You have a choice. When someone came and told you Shalom Aleichem, I don't have a choice. But over here, I have a choice, don't have kavanah to smell, and there's no problem. Maybe you smell, because the guy's walking by and you smell it, the Seder. You didn't have kavanah to smell it. So since you have a choice, there's no chiyuv to be mafsik. Sif Yiches, also Anas Tanis Cholam Bebeis Chag HaShavuos, Sheyom Shebeit Matan Torah, so Lech U'Lesmoich V'Lahares, from Rashi, Shenoich V'Makub L'Yisrael Yoim, Shenitna Boi, HaTorah, L'Fichein Dem Mashayim M'Tein V'Shabbat, Shemutlas Anas M'Tanis Cholam. We know other Yom M'Tein V'Shabbat, if someone had a bad dream, they're allowed to fast for this bad dream. Masha'in Kain, on Shavuos, since it's the day that the Torah was given, you have a chiyuv to be oisik in a chiyuv v'siyah. And you can't taina, I have a tainas cholim, and on Shabbos you also have a chiyuv oinig, right? But you still are allowed.
You're allowed to fast.
You're allowed to fast.
And then
Shavuos, and that will be your oinig. That will be your oinig. On Shavuos, you don't have that choice.
Master.
You have to fast because there's an inyan and misameach begashmius on the no yom shnitnen by Matan
So what do you do? Sunday you fast?
How's the Lashon Gemara? Everybody said
If you want to,
So some Hasidim never eat meat on Pashas. But Yom Tov Shavuos, they have to eat.
we finish off the last sif chaf. Neigim d'seinu shavis anes shalom utachnu merish chodesh ad chesboi ve'ad bechlal through the first 8 days of Sivan. You don't fast, you don't say tachnun. And ad acher maitzoi yom tiv hanikri suchag shin yad acher l'shchodesh hischol moishes asik imam min kabbalas ha'toyre. Shebesheni b'Shabbos hayer shchodesh. Monday was in shchodesh. Shlishi b'Shabbos on Tuesday amalam va'atim tiyul malachas kainim, which was today. Beis Sivan your malachas kainim. Revi amalam mitzhag b'balei shamalachem aleis bahar, don't go up on the mountain. Hamish amalam mitzvah prisha shiv shumanish saying hayom amacher v'yunochem me'am shlishi. So all those days, we don't say tachnun, and the minig is for poil. Many places not to say tachnun all the yemei tashlumim, even after Shavuos, up until Yud Beis and including Yud Beis, because those are the 7 days after Shavuos. You can still make up for the carbon that you didn't bring, the oila that you have to bring, the shalmei hagiga you have to bring. You can make it up for all the 7 days, even though it's not Yom Tov. On Sukkot and Pesach, that's the chiddush. Sukkot and Pesach, it's Yemei Yom. It's Sukkot and Pesach, and you can make it up. You weren't able to bring in the beginning. Chiddush Shavuos, the Gemara explains, is that even though it's weekday, it's chayil, not Shavuos, you could still be mashlim. We learned this out from the other Yom Tov. You could still be mashlim and bring the carbon. So some have a meaning not to say tach until Yud Gimel.
Pesach or Pesach Sheni.
Zayna good Yom Tov.
Pesach
Hey, no,
or
hey.
Pesach.
Shkoyah for joining, Rabbi Say.
Kabbalah still, somehow
Oh, yes, thank you. A good jump, a good job.
Yeah, Kabbalah Satayra should be besimcha
Amen.
Amen.
pnimius.